flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Garza, roll call, please.
Yes. Chairman Williams,
Here.
Vice Chairwoman Kiefer. Here. Mr. Demaria,
Here.
Mr. Albrecht,
Here.
Mrs. Seberg,
Here.
Mrs. Williams,
Here.
Mr. O'Hanlon,
Here.
Ms. Doan,
Here.
Mr. Agidi.
Thank you, Mrs. Garza.
You're welcome.
And next, for your spotlight time, Dr. Newman, are there any additions and corrections to the agenda? Can't mess this up.
Consent agenda, personnel, ratification of personnel.
Good job. Thank you, sir. Next up, Superintendent's announcements and spotlights, Mrs. Radford.
Thank you, Chairman Williams, Dr. Newman. Good evening, other members of the board, and certainly good evening to everyone that has joined us tonight. I am very excited about our spotlight time tonight. As you know, or some of you know, that February has been designated as School Board Appreciation Month by the Virginia School Boards Association as a way for communities to thank school boards for the work and advocacy they do on behalf of public school students in the Commonwealth. Well, tonight, our principals are here to share some of the things they are most proud of in their schools. And honestly, what better way to express thanks than by displaying the fruit from the investment of time and funding the board provides to our schools. So at this time, I will introduce each of the groups as they come to share the information that they've brought forth tonight. First, we will begin with Ms. Laura Golzung from Baldwin Elementary School.
Hi, good evening, Chairman Williams, Dr. Newman, members of the board. I am here tonight to share my deepest appreciation and heartfelt gratitude for your support and encouragement. Tonight, I would like to highlight one of the programs that is developing innovative teaching practices at Baldwin for all of our students. I'd like to introduce members of our ESOL team and our ITTS. Together, they have worked with educational technology and our students who are learning to speak English. And they recently presented information at the Virginia ESL Supervisors Association Conference. I am honored to turn this podium over so that these teachers can share their voice with you and that they can tell you all of the good news that they are doing, teaching and learning students who are learning to speak English at Baldwin. This is one of the things I am the most proud of at our school, so I'm going to step back and let them talk. I'd like to introduce to you, though, Sean Slaney from our ESOL team, Ashley Slaney, she's our ITTS, and Sarah Cordetti from our ESOL team.
Good evening, Dr. Newman and members of the school board. At Baldwin Elementary School, we have made a significant effort to incorporate technology into our daily ESOL instruction. Technology allows us to provide our students with engaging and rigorous differentiated instruction. It also reflects the division's mission by providing an innovative, challenging, and engaging learning environment. With the use of Schoology, Seesaw, and Nearpod, we are giving our students a voice. Traditionally, ELS struggle with communication, especially in academic settings. With the aforementioned applications, we are able to build confidence in our students as they participate in discussions, contribute answers, and express their thoughts with the assistance of technology. These programs are vastly different but equally valuable. Schoology allows us to organize learning and provide personalized instruction for individual students. Students are able to log in independently and work on assignments. Teachers can truly differentiate their assignments for students and not just make them easier. Nearpod allows us to utilize interactive PowerPoints to assist with instruction. Teachers can check for understanding by inserting questions into the slideshow that allow the teachers to collect valuable data on the performance of their students. Teachers are able to view all the students' work at one time, allowing us to note common trends and provide point-of-error instruction to students. Seesaw is another excellent application. It allows students to record their voice and videos. It builds speaking skills and helps develop confidence in RLs. Seesaw projects are stored and housed in a digital portfolio for students. This allows students to see their growth and development throughout the school year. It has a component that allows parents to see the portfolio, comment, and provide feedback as well. We are also seeing heightened levels of student engagement when our students are using technology. Students are collaborating with each other, using positive and cooperative interactions. They are guiding their own instruction. They are evaluating their work and that of peers. Our students are embodying 21st century skills and components of digital literacy. Recently, we were able to share our experiences with other school divisions at the VESTA conference. During our presentation, we had our audience use the programs as we demonstrated their capabilities. Now, other school divisions in Virginia can use Baldwin's example to improve student achievement at their school. Thank you.
Thank you so much for everything that you do for us. And we'll keep doing our job.
Thank you, Baldwin. That was excellent. I would like to add that because all of our groups are here tonight, we're going to ask that you would remain through all of the presentations, and at the conclusion, we will have a group photograph with the school board. Okay, all of our staff and the students that are here tonight. All right. All right, so next we have Mr. Tyler Faria. He's from Jenny Dean Elementary School, so he's going to share some information with us about Dean.
All right, good evening, Chairman Williams, Dr. Newman, and members of the board. It's my distinct pleasure to be here this evening filling in for Ms. Mills, who's just returning from maternity leave. So I am honored with being the assistant principal at Jenny Dean, and as such, I'm here tonight to represent Ms. Mills. I am very excited about something that we've had going on. Not only is February School Board Appreciation Month, but it's also Black History Month. And our students started working on a project that we collaborated with the Jenny Dean Memorial Fundraising Committee, long name. But we collaborated with them back in October. We held a meeting, and from that meeting came the idea of holding an essay contest. And the essay contest evolved into the topic of Jenny Dean, if the committee's fundraising for a statue. So if that statue were to come to life, what would Jenny Dean share with you? And what would you want to share with Jenny Dean? And so we had 34 entries over the last month, and we held 21 mini writing shops, which our media specialists and teachers helped our students develop their writing. And I had a pleasure to read some of them. And Mr. Williams, I want to take from your playbook and share some of the brief quotes that they shared, because they truly are amazing ideas that they came up with. One stated in their writing, if African Americans like Jenny Dean and other people like her didn't change America, I wouldn't be able to be friends with some of the friends that I have now. One shared, no matter who you are, white, black, or different culture, you can make a difference, and all you have to do is try. And so that shows me that they're impacted by this experience and the life of the person who our school is named for. She is an amazing individual, and I'm very proud that our school is named for her. And I'm even prouder that our students have the opportunity to learn more about her. And it's because of your resources and your support that we're able to collaborate with community members and provide our students with these meaningful experiences. And so I want to say thank you. And to close out, I had one more quote, and it wasn't as serious as the first two. One student wanted to share with Jenny Dean that we have cool things like technology and apps. We even have something called Google. And so it was really cool to read that, and I just want to say thank you for all that you do to support our staff and especially our students. If you have any questions or comments, I can certainly field those. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny Dean. Next we have from Hayden Elementary School, Ms. Karis Brooks, the principal.
Good evening, Chairman Williams, Dr. Newman, and members of the board. I'm very excited to share some of the great things that have recently gone on at Hayden Elementary. The first thing I'd like to share, recently, our second grade students completed a project on Native Americans. Students researched 3 regions to learn about transportation, shelter, clothing, food, and occupations. Students recreated artifacts. They critiqued each other's work. Teachers said they did a great job doing that. And they presented their projects to the community, and parents were invited that day. It was a great morning. Parents were able to come in and listen to all of their children present. And then at the end, they went around to each other's classes to present. A great day of showcasing their learning. The next thing I'd like to share, we recently had the PTA help organize our annual Donuts with Dad event. Dads came to school early one morning. Early for us is 8 o'clock. And to have donuts and coffee and juice for a good 45 or 50 minutes before students were released to go to classes. Dads and students played games or did a craft. And we had parents to volunteer at our coffee station, and that would be the staff over at the donut station. But it was a great morning. The next event I'd like to share was Winter Information Night, also known as our Title I annual meeting. On one cold January evening, some parents, brave parents and students, came out to learn about important information about academics going on at Hayden. After a brief Title I meeting, parents had a choice of sessions to attend, which included information about PALS testing, iReady, SOL testing, PBIS, and our dual language program. We also gave away free books to every student. Actually, they probably got 2 or 3 if they wanted them. So that was a great evening in January. And last but not least, the PTA is now our annual fitness night. They helped us organize. On that evening, parents and students, well, mainly the students, I encouraged some parents to climb the rope, but none of them would do it. But I did tell them it was available. We had parents and students do hula hooping, jump roping. We have a nice rock wall in our gym. They did some rock wall climbing. And the PE teachers created an obstacle course, and that ran. And we had all healthy snacks that included, those are cups of carrots, cheese, and some fruit, and water was available. And it was a great evening, and a great evening of fitness. That's it. Thank you for your time, and thank you for all you do for our school.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Brooks. Let's see. So next, I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Andrew Wilson, who is here to represent Round Elementary School.
Good evening, Chairman Newman, Chairman Williams, Dr. Newman, members of the board. I practiced that like 100 times too. Thank you for having us out tonight, and I really was excited to talk a little bit about building community and what it takes to build community, and the school board's role in helping us as principals build a strong school community within our schools. And at Round, that is a point of pride. That's something I'm really proud of and excited about, is the traditions that have been built over time, and leaving us with this super strong school community that supports all the facets and inner workings of what we do in each and every day. And I reflected a lot about that. I'm new to Round this year, and I put a lot of thought into what does it take to build such a strong community. And obviously it takes time, it takes strong relationships. And how do you build those relationships? A big part of that is just showing up and being present. And that's one thing that I have a lot of appreciation for and respect for, is that each and every school board meeting, or each and every school board member shows up and is there to support us and is present and really contributes directly to us building that strong school community. You know, a great example of that was just this past weekend. Ms. Brooks kind of shared some events, and I'll kind of do the same this past weekend. We had our winter carnival, which is something we kind of reinvigorated, a tradition at Round that we were trying to bring back. And, you know, I was there, and it just the feeling, it's hard to put words, you know, to it, but just the feeling you have, the feeling of community, the feeling of family, of partnership, and you know, just those strong bonds that have been built just really excites me. It's something that's really special about Manassas City and really special about Round. Coming up here on March 16th, just a couple weeks away, we have our 20th annual Shamrock Run. And again, I step back and reflect, like 20 years, you know, what is it, how do you build that kind of tradition? And like I said, it takes a community to build that kind of tradition. So we recognize that, we appreciate that, and we appreciate you always being there, helping us to build those strong bonds, those relationships, and that community. I have to share just a quick story. It's been on my mind ever since. A couple years back at Osborne, we had an event, the Summa Cum Laude event, and that event kind of historically runs a little late. And I was an assistant principal at the time, and I was helping to clean up the event. And I looked at my watch, and it was like 9:30, and I'm there helping the custodians kind of stack up the chairs. And I'm looking around, and like everybody's cleared out, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna help the custodians, you know, stack the chairs, do my part, and provide that support, and then, you know, we'll end the night. And so I'm stacking chairs, and I turn around, and there's Chairman Newman sitting there stacking chairs with me and the.
Don't worry, we'll let you live it out.
Invite me back, and I'll have it polished out the next time. It was, in fact, Chairman Williams, stacking chairs, 9:45 at night, right alongside me and the custodians, and that just meant the world to me. It meant the world to them. I haven't forgot it. I think that kind of embodies my message and my appreciation, and I have stories like that about each and every school board member, and you know, for that we are forever indebted, and we really appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. We appreciate that. All right, so next among our elementary schools, we have some Weems Elementary School Wildcats. Dr. Zella Jones, some of her students and staff are here with their special presentation.
Good evening, Chairman Williams, Dr. Newman, and the board. Thank you for all the work you do. The key to our success at Manassas City Public Schools rests in people like you who embody the spirit of greatness by saying, yes, we can, and you can too. Thank you. I have with us this evening Mrs. Mitchell, our school counselor, and Mrs. Wilson, the TAG coordinator. They're going to introduce the students, and the students will tell you about some of the wonderful celebrations at Weems Elementary.
Hi, good evening. We just wanted to let you know that we brought some of our SCA representatives. We have from kindergarten all the way up to 4th grade, and they're just going to share with you what they are proud of about being a Weems Wildcat.
W stands for wearing our uniforms to make us proud and ready to learn every day. Council serves a platform for students' ethics and participation in school functions. We are the Wildcats and we are full of pride. We are thankful for all you do and the support you provide. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, students. Next, we have Ms. Amanda Wagner. She's going to present from Baldwin Intermediate School.
Chairman Williams, Dr. Newman, members of the board, Amanda Wagner, principal of Baldwin Intermediate School. I am super appreciative to have the opportunity to stand before you. I appreciate not only all you do, but the opportunity for me to be here in this position to share these things with you. So the program or thing that I am sharing with you this evening that I am proud of within Baldwin Intermediate is our Husky Huddle. So I've shared this with many of you at different times, but I keep coming back to this as something we're proud of because I think it truly embodies the Baldwin Intermediate School community as a whole, because it's something that's not just, although we have these once a month, and they have different themes and things like that, it's something that truly permeates the staff and the students and just the school community as a whole. So where it all began, again, embodying Baldwin Intermediate School as a whole, this came out of the original project-based learning training that we went through as a staff, and all staff immediately jumped on board to go through this training together and came up with this idea of something we could do monthly to revisit our PBIS, or Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports, school-wide, and classroom expectations, but also have a set time each month to reinforce specific characteristics, because we want to recognize and reinforce those things throughout the year. So having a set time to do that in a fun way. So the first Husky Huddle of every year now, year 2, starts after the first 2 weeks of school, where we introduce all of those things and truly teach those characteristics of respect, responsibility, and safety in our students, and we come back to those each month. But the beauty of this is not just the transition each month of things like fairness or respect or caring that go each month along these themes. It's the fact that teachers each month decide, they have full leadership of this and ownership of this, and they decide what activities they feel they can offer the students. In addition to the regular curriculum that they offer the students every day, what other things can they do that they are excited to share, whether they're activities or things like that. And then in addition, the students then decide what activities they feel passionately about that they can learn the most from, and they select into 3 different activities that they can go to during that time. In addition, we start off every Husky Huddle with some acknowledgments. So again, that varies every month as well, because students and staff have voice in this, and so they come up with great ideas of things that they want to incorporate. So it's continuously growing. But one of the things that we recognize are students with exemplary character, and that is voted on. So those are our Huskies of character. Their peers nominate, peers and staff nominate their peers for why they think they're a Husky of character and give that reason. So they're getting that acknowledgement from their peers that they are exemplifying those values. Academic success we recognize, attendance, also just personal growth in students. They get recognized for those things as a group so that they get that opportunity to recognize their peers. So here are just a couple examples of things, just some pictures from the Husky Huddles, a recipe for responsibility, students doing Kahoot activities with scenarios of being responsible, lots of activities that they do, and you can see teachers engaging in things that are outside of, Mr. Short is there, and he is our music teacher, but he is working with the students. He has a military background, is still active in serving us, and so he's sharing some of the things that he has outside and bringing that into our students. Here are just some other things that have come out of Husky Huddles over the year so far. Students showcasing the change that they want to be in our world. Different things of what kindness means to them, things that they are grateful for. One of the greatest things that has come out is that students now have taken ownership of the Thankful Thursdays. We have reinforced that in our Friendsgiving Husky Huddle, and students have truly taken ownership of that, and you'll see on Thursdays they'll send little thank you notes to teachers through Schoology. They will write notes to one another, which is amazing to see, and staff are also more mindful and showing gratitude to one another and their students for the things that they're doing. And then this is just quick snippets of a couple of the students' input of the things that they liked about the Husky Huddles. And it helps them to have fun experiences, it helps them learn, it helps them think about other people instead of just themselves, which I thought was incredibly reflective and important. And they take things home to show with their families, which they liked. I thought it was wonderful that the students shared that they felt it was a great way to incorporate character building. So just different things that they felt that it was calming and focusing, and having the students share this feedback I think was powerful, and it just reinforced why this is something that I'm truly proud of, that exemplifies the school community at least once a month, but again continues every day. So in that, happy School Board Appreciation, and thank you so much for all that you do to make this possible for us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner. Let's see. So next we have who? Mr. Frischkorn, Donnie Frischkorn from Mayfield Intermediate. Let's see. I got you. Gonna have to find everybody's. There we go.
Good evening, Chairman Williams, Dr. Newman, and School Board. Tonight I'd like to highlight one specific event that we did at Mayfield in the fall, but I also just want to start with our mottos that we have going into this year. So one of the ones that we started with is every child, every day. At Mayfield, that's what we're guaranteeing. Every child, every day is going to have a caring adult that's there, ready to greet them in the morning and give every single amount of support that that student needs to be successful. And then the second one is my shameless plug for our Twitter account, our hashtag Mayfield is proud. And again, that is another thing that I give that to the school board. Why I'm so proud is 8 months into working here in Manassas City, this is a great school division. This is a great community to be part of. And when I started at Mayfield, one of the things I really wanted to focus on was community engagement. And as a leader, you sort of give like a little seed, and then all of a sudden it turns into this huge thing. And this is what our international night was. So we started with me just mentioning at one of our meetings, let's talk about bringing back an international night to celebrate all the diversity that we have in our community. And I was thinking we'd just start with food, because I love food, as we were hearing today. And then all of a sudden people start coming with more ideas. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? And it just took off. And when I realized what a big event it was going to be was the week before when we set up. And we had a local church donate flags from so many countries throughout our community, and they were lying down the hallway in Mayfield. And I started thinking, this is going to be something big. This is going to be something special here at Mayfield. And sure enough, it did. And when it took off, some of the ideas that came out, our art teachers jumped right on board and said, they said, let's incorporate different cultures in their art. So we had stations set up for art stations. And one of the great things was our art teachers created this. Then we also had students from Osborne come in and volunteer to help support, which again was a huge community engagement part, and that was awesome. Then our librarians talked to us and said, do you know how many books on different cultures we have within our library? And so they created an entire section of books, picture books, that kids could come and look at. And I was like, this is amazing. Then it went as far as teachers saying, well, I'm going to volunteer my time, and this is Miss Callahan here. And they had story time in the gym. So we had students doing art projects. We had stories going on. And then we had performances take place because somebody came up and said, why don't we just make this also a talent show where different cultures can display? And this was just, again, amazing. We had students performing dances. We had a neighboring high school and their step team come in because they're one of our staff members' daughters on this step team, so she wanted to get involved. We had local community dancers come in and support because of our help with our translator. She was good friends with this group. And one of the great things, and there was a video of this, is one student started performing in the middle, and he was all by himself, and he was shy, and he was nervous once he got up there and he saw this crowd. And then one person started clapping, and then the entire cafeteria started clapping, and the kid just took off. And it was an amazing sight to see. We also had our girls club, which, again, Ms. Seberg, thank you for your volunteering today. But our girls club, they displayed the many different dresses from cultures throughout the world. Then finally the food, which I thought was the best part. We had so many families just line up and just be so excited to share their food and their culture with everybody. We had teachers bringing in their local dishes, and it was amazing. And just seeing the families come together that spent the time cooking that food together and being so proud to share that with our community was awesome. Students serving their community members. There were so many smiles on the faces this night. It was really awesome to see. Next year, I've committed to bring in chicken Speedies. They're my international from upstate New York, if anybody knows about those. But again, and then finally, what the goal was that community part, to engage with the community. And we had families coming in just to share about their culture and where their family's from. We had families just coming to share time within the school, which was fantastic. And again, there you just see the crowd that we had. Our common space was packed that night, so it was awesome to see. And I think this night made me realize again how proud I am to be part of this community, and I'm excited to see what we can do at Mayfield. This was one example. We're already in the process of planning an academic night for the spring. And I'd like to thank a lot of the school board members that you were all able to come out that night and participate in this exciting event. And I'd like to just share Shannon McAteer. She's our art teacher. She actually took the lead in this. She really was the one that led the committee and led the charge. Candace Hunley, she's our registrar. That was her daughter's step team that came in. She actually sang the national anthem to start it. Fina, she's our school translator, and she reached out to so many community members, our art teachers, our librarians, the whole planning committee that was consisting of like 15 teachers, then the volunteers from Osborne, and again, the school board. So thank you guys. Thank you for creating this awesome school to be part of, and I know we are all appreciative of everything you're doing for us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. I don't remember getting an invitation for all that food, but that's another story, huh? That's awesome. So next we have with us Mr. Dave Rupert from Metz Middle School, and he's going to share with us tonight.
Chairman Williams, Dr. Newman, members of the board, thank you for allowing me the honor to speak with you tonight and share some things and updates about Metz Middle School and some highlights and some things we're proud of. So, going into the year, we're talking about engagement and empowerment. We have the middle level students here that we want to make sure that we're transitioning from the elementary schools, getting them ready for the high schools and careers and college and all those things there. And you guys play a big part of that. So, we want to thank you for all that you do for our school division. As you know, education is changing every single day, so it's always a journey. So we have We have a quote here, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And that single step in education is different every day, but it's great to be in the city of Manassas and knowing each and every one of you and knowing that I can reach out to each and every one of you to know that I'll get 1,000% support. So we really appreciate that. I want to share some of the things that, that we're bringing in. I would like to highlight some of our PBIS, positive behaviors and intervention and supports. And really what we laid out, we wanted to lay out that we wanted to set expectations for our students and for our staff members. And here at the middle school, we have to develop a mutual respect. Sometimes we think that, students need to come to the school and they need to respect who we are and what we are, and we're the institution. We have a code of conduct and we have rules. But today's day and age, we got to do that together. So that's what we're still working towards every day, but having the expectations, we're restructuring those. Respect, responsibility, and determination is on all of us. And you guys model that all the time. So we had some direct instruction through our advisory blocks. I'm going to share with you a little bit about how we utilize the data, how we have some conflict resolution and some things, and then we were able to celebrate some students as well. So we were intentional. We wanted to make sure that we had data points for students and where and what and how, and so we can make some informed decisions. And still, being in year one, this is still new, but we're still trying to develop this data so we can kind of take a look and be proactive in the future. So as you can see, there's many people that are working towards that. So taking a look, I was going to go kind of talk a little bit about conflict resolution, because once we collect that data, and you see a lot of the data at the beginning, because we're sharing those expectations, we're really butting heads saying, okay, this is where we are, this is what we're doing, and we're trying to create this common vision. But the number of data points has, as you can see, has decreased. And there's a lot of things that, that have attributed to that. It's not that we still don't have behaviors. We have lots of things and things that we're working towards. But we're being proactive. We're having reflective sessions. We're understanding and getting to understand that mutual respect and who we are and how we can go together and push forward for this. So part of that is a conflict resolution. We have restorative reflective groupings. I'm going to show you some classroom contracts that on January 2nd, when everybody came back, we said we're going to reboot. Every teacher and every middle school student work together with every single class, because no classes are alike, and they created what their social contract looks like to them. What are they agreeing upon, and how are they going to move forward together to make a productive Metz Middle School? So here's some examples of the social contracts, and they all look different. I shared out with some that our social studies department decided to make constitutions. Our science department treated it as a science experiment. And what do we need for all of us to have? And, our math teachers are pretty straightforward. They said, you got to do this, we got to do that. But, so they had a variance on it, and the students had a variance on how they shared and what they had done. So, but with that, we have quarterly events, and we celebrate by doing different things. And some of those students that need the support, we provide the support. And the students that need to be rewarded for doing the right thing and consistently doing what they need to do, they get some of the perks of some of the things that they can do. So we're working on those. We had clay sculpting, painting cafe, music mania. We've had movies. We've had soccer outside. We've had many different things, and we have many things planned. And, it's very interesting. Some of the students will tell they've had a great time. They share thank you. I've had students thank you for us, the ones that are doing the right thing, for something for us. But getting 1,000 to 1,100 kids all around at one time, we're working on that every day. But again, with the appropriate behaviors, there's many supports that we're given, and just having those conversations with each other to build that mutual respect. So here's some examples. I'm not going to say who won the Connect 4 game down there in the left corner. But volleyball, different things. We had karaoke on stage with hundreds of kids in there, and pulled that up. And, at first they're a little hesitant because they haven't done anything like this before, but really getting out and showing it, we're working towards it. It's a work in progress. Board games, some students just want to be able to choose a place to go and read quietly, or sit with their friends in the library, or just kind of hang out and play, do whatever they need to. But it's their time, hour and a half, 2 hours, once every quarter, to kind of dig and do those things. And we're glad that, it's making a small difference. So, but moving forward with the empowerment and the engagement, is student voice. So one of the things that I want to share that I'm excited to bring to you is that we're starting our focus groups for students, for student voice. We have our SGA, our National Junior Honor Society, creating some public service announcements and bringing those types of things there. But we're pushing ahead with their voice, and we're going to work together and bring Mets to be the best place it can be. But I have a short video, just a little snippet of, not a bigger video, of one of the PSAs that they were just working on in terms of one of our norms or expectations for responsibility. Let's see, miss responsibility here.
What's going on here? Doesn't look very responsible, does it?
We're so sorry. Are you okay?
Alright, there you go. Let's put that in your locker.
I miss responsibility. You should make sure that you are not running or playing in the hallways because it is unsafe and keeps you from getting to class. You should walk carefully in the hallways and make sure that you get where you're going on time.
Back on this crazy story this evening. I was walking in the hallway, right? And this teacher just walked me for no reason. I was just talking to my friend.
Done.
Yo, what?
Miss responsibility here again. You should make sure that you are always on task and doing what you should be. Because as you can see, it does not end well if you aren't. Here, on the other hand, she is being responsible and doing what she should be and is getting her work done on time.
So it's we're building just common expectations and mutual respect at Mets Middle School. Thank you for all that you do, and we appreciate it.
Thanks, Mr. Rupert. And so our final presentation for tonight is Mr. Joe Gabalski. I believe he has some special guests with him from Osborne High School.
Good evening, Chairman Williams, Dr. Newman, members of the school board. Tonight, when I thought about something to celebrate and something to come and talk to you about that we are really thankful for, to be honest with you, there are things that we're thankful for every day. First of all, many of you frequent our building. Some of you are serving as mentors in our building for some of our students. Just today, a significant investment that you're making paid big dividends. I was at school this morning bringing a consultant in who was walking the building, and the first thing we did when we got in the building, there was an issue with a student who needed some guidance and some help, and we spent over a half hour with that student. So before we even got to dealing with some of the things that I was hopeful we were going to deal with right away when we got there, I was glad that we took that time to so that he understood that no matter what happens in our building, we always put students first. And that happens on a regular basis when it comes to the Saturday Learning Seminar. And that's what I really want to talk to you about today, because your investment in that pays huge dividends. Just so you know, each Saturday that we host this, usually it's 2 times a month, we have anywhere from between 100 and 200 students. It's usually on the 200 side if we're close to grades being due, but that's neither here nor there. But most of the time it averages somewhere between 120 and about 150. We have Honor Society members that come and work with those students and provide direct instruction. Our PTA, I can't say enough about it. When I first got here, I didn't quite understand how they made this thing happen. I went to my first one, and all the food showed up, and people show up, and we put things out through the robocall, and people just step up to the plate and help feed our students. So twice a month, we were able to provide a breakfast for our students. Some of that is subsidized by the school board, but to be honest with you, a lot of it is subsidized by our parents, who just give of their time or give of their finances, and in many cases, they give of both. We have 10 to 15 teachers that come to that, so it's 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock on those Saturdays, and they work directly with students, giving them the support that they need. Students have full access to our library, which some of our students do not have ready access to internet, nor do they have their own printers, and so for those 3 hours, they have access to that. I'm not going to apologize for being a basketball fan. I am a huge basketball fan, but I'm also a fan of all sports. But a few months ago, I was taken aback at the effort that our athletics, not only basketball, but it was brought to light by the efforts of Coach Carter. And it was how he puts an incredible commitment into getting his student athletes there. And for me, it was a no-brainer to think about when I was talking about, well, I'm going to talk about Saturday Learning Seminar, who should I ask to come share with you how it directly impacts students. So I'm going to introduce to you Coach Carter, Coach Krismatich, and then 3 of their students, athletes, Isaiah Breeding, Quentin Davis, and Keon Anderson, and they're going to talk to you directly about how it impacts students.
Good evening, Dr. Newman, Chairman Williams, and school board members in general. Good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm first very honored and very blessed to be up here in front of you. It's intimidating somewhat to see you all collectively and not individually as I normally do. The Saturday Learning Seminar, when that was created a few years ago, has blossomed into something that, unless you have actually seen it and what goes on in there, it's phenomenal. Our guys are more than athletes, okay? And football, I'm blessed, we have a relationship with a football program that also has their guys there. That this is probably one of the first times, talking about community, something's been unleashed here in the last year or so, and you feel it with all the changes that we've had, but it's been infectious, the community spirit that you've seen here. And that's brought along the Saturday Learning Seminar. And though we have Coach Krismatich and these 3 young men here, I also want to talk about how that has become a community commitment with PTA. All I see is parents, and I see volunteers. I don't see PTA. To walk in and to see the efforts of those teachers being there, who they gravitate towards. We have young people that have to come there on a Saturday because they work until 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, because they have to help their families survive. They have to catch up either on work that they've missed or an area or 2 that they need help with. These guys, we've arranged their schedule so they come to Saturday Learning Seminars and then we practice. This goes on throughout the year, not just during the season. This is a commitment that they've made to us, and that's our job as coaches, and Mr. Gabalski, who has been gracious in giving us everything we need to make that successful. And there's nothing I can say, there's no words I can come up with to give you the thanks that you have done for us in this community. Something's happening big, and I don't know what it is. I can't tell you what it is. I'd be lying if I did, but I feel it. I feel it. And I would like to ask Isaiah just to give his thoughts. We didn't rehearse this, so whatever he says, it's him. But I would like for him to say something about what it is to be a part of that.
Hello. Yeah, it's a great experience to be with one-on-one with your teachers. I've been to probably like 12 Saturday Learning Seminars since I've been to Osborne. And it's a great experience to sit one-on-one with your teachers and actually get an actual knowledge from their mind alone. So I want to say thank you.
I just want to say, better than the best bit of advice I could give you is come to the next Saturday Learning Seminar, even if you just pop in for 5 minutes. And to see our students who sometimes we hear in society our students can't. And my message has always been consistent. Our students can. And if you give them the opportunities, they will make things happen, and they will do the right thing, and a lot of good things are happening. I want to just share with you, because it happened last Friday. I had some people questioning why a school administrator was riding the Spirit bus. And I got on that bus, and I went to the game, and our students, as always, were so well behaved. They were a little loud on the way out there, but then things calmed down on the way back. I think they used it all up on Friday night's game. But I couldn't have been prouder of them, and I didn't have another commitment yesterday, I would have been on the bus, but right away, one of our other administrators stepped up and took 40 kids to the game yesterday. And those things happen consistently, and they happen consistently because you make it happen, and you allow us the freedom to do these things. And as long as I'm here, that'll continue. And I will say, Friday night was really a highlight for me, not because the team won, but because of what I heard on that bus, both back and forth from the game. So we will continue those things, and with your support, we will be looking at all of our students saying, yes, they can. So thank you for everything.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. And as you can see, I hope you learned something new tonight about some of the fabulous things that are happening in our schools. A lot of these things are not things that get talked about enough, but definitely within those walls and even outside, our students are doing exciting things. So thank you, each of you, for sharing with us tonight. And I will ask that all of you would just kind of join us down here. Board members, if you don't mind, you have something you want to say first?
Can we wait 1 second?
Okay, that's fine.
Sir, I think once we take this picture, they're all going to leave.
Yeah. Okay, so you want to...
I think we might want to say something before they leave, so can we do that? If it's okay with you, Mrs. Bradford?
If it's okay with the chair.
Well, yeah, you know, I know the power goes.
You start, Mr. Mayor.
I will start, because I don't want you all leaving without us being able to. This was a great school board appreciation meeting. To come up here and tell us what a great job we're doing is, the only word I can come up with is a little bit ridiculous, because what we should do is hold up a mirror while you're talking to us, because we're just overseeing this spectacular thing going on in our division. And those of you that know me know I've always been proud of my school system, and I don't know how, but it keeps getting better. My pride keeps increasing, and it's the work of all of our schools. And I didn't know we were doing this tonight, but I was going to talk under board member comments, but I'm going to do that now before you all leave and don't get to hear me, even if you don't want to. If that's okay with you, sir.
Go for it.
At our VSBA conference in Williamsburg, we had, the movie Coach Carter talk to us. We got a better Coach Carter. That guy is pretty incredible, but so is ours. You go to these games, and believe it or not, I've gone to these games for somewhere around 40 years. And they've always been great. And we've always had the best following, always. When we go to away games, we've always got the most fans. Not like we do now. Administrators are telling our administrators this was the biggest visiting crowd we've had all year. And it happens all the time. I like to leave the stands where I sit and go down to the end and look at both sides. And when we're away games, we're either even or more than the home team. We've got alumni from early 70s to the late 70s, 80s, 90s. This city, it comes together for these kids, and it is so wonderful. And now we're doing so much more. The Saturday school with these kids, and Coach's kids are all there, and they're all part of the community. Not only are they learning, they're part of the community, and that's what's bringing everything together. This year, we started, if you haven't made a game, I'm sorry, but start going to the baseball, softball, lacrosse, field hockey games, because they're coming now. But Coach and his people put together the introductions for our kids. And because, I'll take credit for this one for us, guys, because we put in new lights in our gyms, we can hit the switch and the lights go off. And we introduce our kids with, and Kevin Schaefer, a firefighter here in town, our softball coach, and he's there, he's a professional DJ, and he's introducing our kids, and the spotlights are on our kids, and it's spectacular. It is better than it ever has been, and I've been thrilled my whole life with this place. The coaches getting involved, the parents getting involved, the parents getting the elementary school kids to play at halftime and to get introduced by Kevin. It was so cool. All of our elementary schools represented our principals at those games. It's incredible. The girls team, our girls have always struggled, and they're still struggling, but they're playing so much better. The coaching is so much stronger. It's such a great team now. They play together, and I don't mean to go on, but I'm going to. The fans, I've already said, that we have the best fans in the world, and we go to all the away games and all the home games, and we got alumni screaming like idiots, old guys that have to sit down because they get lightheaded. 3 players I want to talk about on varsity. Sorry, fellas, you'll get there, all right? Some of you play varsity, but not. Manny. Last night, we played a great game and came up 1 point short. Manny got 3 fouls on him early. And then there was a call, and I am a homer. Lord knows I am the biggest homer there is. But this was a rotten call. She agrees with me. And Manny didn't lose his mind. He discussed this with the referee and didn't get a tech. He didn't stomp his feet and flail around. He discussed it with the referee. Manny was right. Then Manny walked off the floor because he had to go because he had 4 fouls, and coach had to keep him for the end of the game. But that's the class this team has shown. Anthony, otherwise known as Sam, plays so hard. He runs and is all over the court. I have a feeling he's not always in the right place, but he's always playing so hard. He's not our best player, but my goodness. And he's diving for balls on the floor and slapping the floor when he doesn't get the ball, and that's an Osborne kid. That's who these guys are, and they show class all year long. They had their mostly ups. This was a great team, but they had their downs, and when they had their downs, they showed class. Nobody's yelling and screaming like idiots on the bench. They're always showing class. And Coach K and Coach Carter, it goes to you guys. You're training our kids well, and I sincerely appreciate it. And I'll stop now. But get out to the spring games, everybody. Get out to the spring concerts. Our kids are absolutely incredible because of our administrators and our teachers, and reward them with your presence. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We're still going to have board member comments later, but does anyone want to address the folks here now before we take a picture? I'll start, then Mr. O'Hanlon, then work my way down real quick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to tell you that you honor us with what you do every day. I mean, we're not up here to be honored. We honor you. You guys are outstanding. I love the time I spend with all of you. I was at Hayden yesterday morning. That was joyful, reading to the kids. I hate being on the cameras. That was even worse there, doing the morning announcements. But it was wonderful. And today, spent the whole day learning about Project Lead the Way over at Baldwin. Again, wonderful, wonderful experience. Not so much learning about the process, but being in the classrooms and seeing how those kids are just coming alive with the experience that you're providing them. It's just wonderful. So just keep up all the great work everywhere. It's wonderful, and thank you all very much.
Ms. Williams.
You know, I'll keep mine short. I just want to thank you all very much for all of your presentations. Everybody is doing great things. I like the two things I heard most often was community, the sense of community, with not just the students, but with the teachers, with the parents, everybody working together. And then I love Coach Carter's comment. You said, I feel it. I feel it. If we all in here can feel it and get our kids to feel it and get our parents to feel it, we're just going to keep growing and growing and growing. And I appreciate everything you all do. Thank you.
Ms. Dahlberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the principals, the students, parents, all the staff for coming out. It's fantastic to appear and have you tell us what you're proud of, because we're all proud of our schools. And to see so many things on a continuum, pardon me, with academics, behavior, and our outreach program shows what a truly comprehensive education program we're delivering. So thank you.
Ms. Kiefer.
Thank you. I too just want to echo my gratitude. You are all phenomenal. You inspire us. You keep us going. I have to say, you know, this school board has demanded that we think of each and every student holistically, their whole well-being, and everything that you presented tonight showed that we're doing that you're doing that, I should say. I heard diversity, I heard celebrate history and heritage, fitness, arts, community, connection, tradition, character building, programs and supports the kids that at Weems had told us that help them thrive, setting expectations and mutual respect for one another, and giving voice to our students. That's what Manassas City Public Schools is about. And I just want to close, every student every day, and yes, they can. You all get out in the community and tell everybody in this community exactly what you told us tonight, because this is who we are. This is what we have to keep talking about, and it's not all the other stuff that sometimes is out there. So thank you so very much.
Ms. Seberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Real quick, I just wanted to say thank you for all your presentations. Today is a great day to be a school board member. Thank you.
I'm going to leave you out, Ms. Doan. Anything real quick before we take the picture?
So it's incredibly difficult to follow what's already been said, but it's all entirely true. The hallways at our schools have been re-energized, and there's a new spirit that takes place in our school and our district. And from a student standpoint, and I speak for my peers as well, we're so grateful for the support that we receive from the community, and we can see it in meetings like this and from our day-to-day. Thank you.
Thanks. Before we take the picture, I'll be really quick, because I'm going to talk about Kenny Dean, actually, in my comments. I don't have anything profound to say, but one thing I thought about while folks were talking is that in one of my many other jobs, I worked with the Parents Committee at UVA, which I've been doing for the last, 10 years in a row. Not because my kids have been there for 10 years in a row, but different kids, not the same kid. But one meeting I had was with the president of UVA, Teresa Sullivan. We were discussing some things about African-American students and things at UVA, and I told her that one important thing that she should never forget is that students want to be heard. Everyone wants to be heard. We need to value what they have to say. And one thing I love, picking on what Mrs. Kiefer says, is that we look at students holistically, and you all model the fact that all students and staff also very important, but all students need to be heard and treasured and listened to. And we can listen to our students, our staff, and of course their parents and guardians and their families and help them be the best people they can be. We're going to be awesome. We're on the way there. I'm going to talk about basketball a little bit later also, but Coach Carter and guys, Coach K, thank you for all you do for our kids. They were an awesome, awesome example of the kind of students we have here, and I couldn't have been any prouder of them from where they went to Patriot, to South Lakes last night, to wherever. You guys make us all proud, so thank you for what you do on the court, but in the classroom as well, because that's more important. So we're going to have everyone come up, take a picture, and go from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Radford.
Chairman Newman, we're waiting on you. See what I did there? Andrew's gone, though. Hopefully you heard me out there in the hall.
So in addition to School Board Appreciation Month, February is also School Board Clerk Appreciation. And so our clerk and our deputy clerk support our school board in so many ways, behind the scenes, agendas, setting up for meetings, all of the things that they do to support you and our community by providing that information out so that we can all know what's going on. We certainly appreciate them, and so Mr. Williams has a presentation that he'd like to do at this time.
It's kind of fun being over here. I'll be brief. If Ms. Garza and Ms. Miller could stand up here from the dais, I appreciate that. If you'd like, no big speeches, but we all, the United States School Board, wanted to thank you all for all the hard work you do. We could not do what we do if it wasn't for your time, your help, your patience, especially with some of us. Wasn't pointing fingers. But we appreciate you. We have flowers for each of you, which are identical, and then 2 gift cards, which are different, because they kind of, I hope, reflect some things that you like. You can open them and see where they're from. But I want to say thank you for all you do. We really appreciate you, and thank you for your hard work, because, again, we couldn't do what we do without you, so thank you. And I'd say the hardest part was trying to hide the flowers and hide the cards so Mrs. Garza and Ms. Miller wouldn't see it. So I think we accomplished it, so thank you all for helping. And special thanks to Mr. O'Hanlon who went and got the flowers today. Appreciate that. Next, committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? No, sir. Okay, cool. Moving right along. Board member comments. We'll start with Ms. Doan.
Okay, thank you. This past week at Osborne, we've been preparing for the new scheduling and the courses of next year. It's really exciting to see all the hard work that our counseling department and the district is efficiently putting into all this work that they're putting in. And I can attest from my peers' gratitude for this. And as I look towards the end of the year, although it's still quite a ways away, it's sad to see our seniors go, and they'll be missed. And the influence they've had on our schools is evident, and it's long-lasting. In other news, as we've seen, our sports teams at Osborne have been absolutely outstanding. And Round has recently hosted their Carnival, which was a successful night for the community. And Osborne's Interact Club enjoyed it as well. We continue to have the available dinner program as well, held at the high school, and will encourage everyone to take advantage of the opportunities that we have that night. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Doan. Next, Ms. Seberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I mentioned earlier, it was a great day to be a school board member. I started out my day at Osborne doing some class visits because we're going into history classes and telling them about the opportunity to be a school board representative, like Ms. Doan here. Then it was Baldwin Elementary for the Project Lead the Way showcase. After that, I was able to visit with the Girls Club at Mayfield, the 6th graders, and there's 30 girls, and it was a great, I thought that was the best part of the day until tonight. But it was a lot of fun, and then here we are tonight. So it was wonderful presentations. I very much appreciate being a school board member, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Seberg. Mr. Albrecht.
Sir, in light of the time, I'll yield my comments.
Oh, thank you. Mr. O'Hanlon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick note, I want to thank my fellow board members for welcoming me back, and it continues to be an honor to serve. Also, the other note for all the hundreds of parents watching, as we begin Dr. Seuss Week, please read to your children. That's probably the most important thing you can do for your children to help them academically, is to read to them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. DeMaria.
Thank you. Mr. Hanlon, welcome back. Thank you, sir. We appreciate your service. Alba and Lee, I love you both for everything you do for us. Lee, I've loved you longer, but Alba, I love you just as much. Thank you very much. And Mr. Williams, representing our staff and our teachers for the MEA, it needs to be pointed out that he's here at most of our meetings, monitoring us, making sure we're doing the right things, and we appreciate your time at METS and the time you volunteer for the MEA. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And your attendance to basketball games, too. Saw you last night.
Yes,
Thank you. Next, Mrs. Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Mr. Williams seems to be everywhere. We were at, where were we? Robinson at the States Wrestling Tournament, and he was there. So yeah, thank you for always being there for us. And I just want to just say this real quick, since I talked about regionals for wrestling, and we're talking about how great the basketball team is. They did a fantastic job. I'm so proud of them, how far they got. Also wrestling at regionals last, okay, now it's been so long. 2 days every day is I'm getting confused. But we were 6 in our class. In our Region D, we were in 6th place, which is phenomenal for a school system like this. I was just so proud of those boys. And then from that, we sent 4 boys. I know I mentioned that last time, to states, and we actually had 1 place. You had to be 1 of 6 of the entire region to actually play. So Andrew Holliday placed 5th, and he's in the weight class 120, so I'm so proud of him, and proud of our schools, and proud of our wrestling coaches. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Kiefer.
Sir, I too will yield my time this evening. Thank you.
Cool, thanks. And because it's up to me, I had a few things I wanted to say. I'll try to be relatively brief. First, welcome back, Mr. Hanlon. It's great to have you back with us. Thanks again to all the schools for their presentations. They were incredible examples of what we do and why we do what we do. I appreciate them. I had some notes about the boys basketball team, but I just want to add that one thing that struck me was that they were unselfish and supportive in the way they carried themselves. I used to coach years ago, still love basketball, and one thing I've seen, and maybe some of the older folks like me and Mr. Mary, who Dr. Newman's almost there, who go to games all the time, we've seen the way that children comport themselves change. To be quite blunt, a lot of times kids aren't as respectful as they used to be in terms of how they interact with each other, with referees, with their coaches, and how they act on the court. But our students still manage to act in a certain way that makes us proud. So I wanted to thank them for how they comport themselves. And it's not just them, it's all our sports team, but basketball is the most visible. But last night it was a tough game, and they still, as Mr. Murray mentioned, especially Manny, he got 2 calls that were horrible calls, but he just comported himself in a way that would make us all proud. So thanks to them for what they do. I got an email about Model UN from Mr. Reynolds. I think we all did. I won't read the whole email, but one of the things he mentioned was that typically as a small school, Osborne only sends 8 delegates to Model UN conferences. They went to a conference at Old Dominion with up to 1,200 delegates, and they ended up winning the outstanding delegation, which is incredible. And he wanted to mention Josh Hart, Katie Heredia, Darren Elkins, Abby Frazier, Jeffrey Herrera, Anna Grace Jensen, Isabella Dangler, Courtney Haynes, as delegates who participated who did a great job. So thanks to them and thanks to him for the great job he does. I visited Osborne actually quite a number of times in the last few weeks, but a couple of visits I wanted to mention really quickly. My wife and I visited the group Callus, the group of Hispanic young women at Osborne who are doing great things in our community. We talked to them for a while, and we had a great time, and she was so impressed, because I brag about them all the time, all of our kids, with how they not only comport themselves, what they want to do for our community. One thing they're doing, which most of you may not know, is they go over to Baldwin and they tutor children at Baldwin. And it helps, especially with our population, because a lot of our students don't have as many role models who look like them. And part of what they do is help tutor all the kids, but they've done a great job. We've gotten feedback already from Baldwin that students there have so appreciated their help. And this is something they're doing on their own volition. It's not like they're being forced to do it. But I just want to thank them for what they're doing in our school. And so many other kids are doing great things, but that's one group we talked to who did a great job. Another instance, I went over to Osborne. Mr. Gabalski kind of wrote me into talking to the senior class this past Friday about focusing for graduation, which is kind of interesting because seniors, you know, they want to get out. But they sat there, they were attentive, they listened, and I was impressed with the way they comported themselves as well, and their focus on graduating, and with our staff for making them focus on graduation, which is coming up before you know it. And the last thing I want to mention relatively quickly is this is Black History Month. I looked back at my notes, and I think each of the years I've been on the board, I've done an extensive talk about Black history and what it means, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to do the same thing this year, but I did want to mention a couple things. One, this book about Jenny Dean, those of you who are watching can see, each of the board members got this book. It's called For My People, The Jenny Dean Story. It's a short read. I recommend you read it. It's very, very important and impactful, and it's really cool because it's Black history here right now in our community. So a lot of times people talk about figures that impact history, and which is awesome and very important, but it's even more important and even cooler, so to speak, to have someone who's here who affects what we do. And there are a couple things I want to say really quick out of the book that were impactful, if I can find the page numbers that I tabbed today. One, when Jenny Dean helped start the school we have here now, the precursor to it at least, in Prince William County, there were almost 24,000 African Americans who lived in this area, according to the book, and 11,000 were school age. So our school system now is over 7,000 students. Imagine more than that in this whole area, 11,000, who are not getting educated, which is a crime. And she saw that need and decided to do something about it, which is really impressive back then, right after slavery. The second thing I wanted to mention really quick is that when she started the school, she came up with a list of objectives, and there were 6 of them. I won't read them all, but a couple of them are still, well, they're all useful and pertinent to today, but a couple of them really struck me. One, she said she wanted to train young men and women for useful, intelligent citizenship, which we talk about all the time, and also to make its students self-reliant, careful thinkers, thorough in their work, manly and womanly in their bearing, and to cultivate habits of industry. And the things she wanted to cultivate are things we're trying to do today with our kids, which I thought was really prescient and before her time and really cool. And the last thing I'll mention really quickly is that she had Frederick Douglass come speak at an event. And during the event, he spoke at, for Jenny Dean, he said, "Some men know the value of education by having it. I know its value by not having it." And he went on to say, "Education means emancipation. It means light and liberty. It means the uplifting of the soul of man into the glorious light of truth, the light by which men can only be made free. To deny education to any people is one of the greatest crimes against nature." And now we take for granted that everyone should get educated. And we have disparities in education throughout this nation, a lot of it exacerbated by money. But education is a fundamental right. And part of what we do, or at least what I try to do, and I think we all try to do, is do the best we can to enable our students to learn, reach their potential, and go on and be great citizens and live a better life. And what we saw tonight was just a great representation of that. And I want to thank, personally, all my fellow board members for their commitment. I mean, these folks spend so much time supporting our kids. I'm proud to be associated with you. And our staff members who have to sit here and hear me ramble sometimes for their commitment, because they're behind the scenes. They don't get plaudits. They don't get, you know, pats on the back, so to speak. But they all work hard to help our students as well. So thank you for what you do. And with that, I will end. Next, and I won't forget this time, citizens' comments. Are there any citizens' comments? I don't see anybody, so we'll move right along. Consent agenda. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I move the adoption of the consent agenda as modified.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Mrs. Kiefer, that the school board of the city of Manassas approve the consent agenda as modified. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. Next, discussion agenda. The first item is finance and operations, facilities updates. Mr. Hawkins.
Good evening, Chairman Williams, Dr. Newman, school board members. Tonight, I want to go through, give you a progress report on the upgrades that we've made to our facilities just in the last 12 months. All of these projects that we'll be reporting on tonight have been fully completed, and I'll give you some updates about where we're going in the future as well. Some of the things that we're really proud of at Osborne, we've upgraded the hallway and the front hallway and the west wing flooring with low maintenance tile. We've also transformed and established a maker space for our students in the CTE classroom. We replaced school boards in the auxiliary gym and replaced gym and team lockers. And I think for the first time, in 20 years, we've actually replaced the wrestling mats that we've had there. So that was as badly needed. Won't go through all of these, but I'll just go through a select few. Some of the Osborne High School in-house projects. When I'm talking about in-house projects, these are our guys doing that in our maintenance department. You can see where they've upgraded the electrical at what we call the DAD desk, or the device assistant desk room at Osborne, upgraded the exhaust system in the boys' locker room, and it seems like a small thing, but it's a lot. It was a lot of work, is removing and recycled outdated televisions and brackets in all the classrooms. Almost every classroom at Osborne had a TV with an old, I guess it was Betamax type of assistant videotaping thing on there. And they've been up there for years. And to get up there and remove, over 50 of them and have them recycled was a big chore. We'll go on to what's next at Osborne. Next, and during the spring break, we hope to replace, we're on schedule to replace classroom furniture in approximately 45 classrooms. We have a local architect who's also working with us to help redesign the front entry area. When I talk about the front entry area at Osborne, I'm talking about not the doors getting into the school, but the front area where the commons area is. There is some concern about that area being so open, and it may be a security issue. So we're looking at different alternatives for that area. And hopefully we'll be able to come up with a design that everyone likes, and again, we hope we'll have funding to be able to replace it. And of course, and then we have, next is a big article that was in your consent agenda tonight, was to replace the dishwasher over at Osborne at over $100,000 for that. Met's contracted, we did a lot of work at Met's this past year, redoing the entire auditorium with all phases of that, upgrading the hallway flooring. And throughout Met's, we've replaced 42 classrooms worth of furniture. And another big thing is that we have taken down and replaced 69 classroom projectors and converted all the chalkboards throughout the whole school into whiteboards. Those are major efforts being done by our IT department and in coordination with our maintenance team who helped get that done. So here's some more other things that were done is by our maintenance department. You see about modifying walls and projector installs, front cabinet in the main office, modified the guidance lobby. What's next at Met's is we got the lecture room panel doors and the kitchen panel door replacements. They've all seen their better days over there, and we're going to replace both of them. I think at spring break, that's where we're looking forward. We've got them scheduled to be replaced. If they don't make it by spring break, will be the first week in summer school. When summer approaches this year. Gym locker replacement and gym scoreboard replacement, electronic signs, those are all things that'll be coming either this spring or early this summer by the time we start school next year. I won't go through all of these, but you can see some of the things that we've done at each of our schools. One of the things that we had to do, I know that we've had a lot of discussion about Dean Elementary, but the carpet was beyond repair and needed to be replaced in the kindergarten classrooms. That was done this past summer, and so that needed to be done. Hayden, we painted the interior of the entire school. That was a huge project for us because most of the inside was covered with this burlap type of wallpaper that had to be pulled down and then the walls patched and then repainted throughout the entire school. And I hope all of you have had a chance to go by and see Hayden. It's made a wonderful difference on the inside of the school. Again, you see where we started taking out outdated televisions and brackets throughout. At Round, we had a lot of trees that we had to remove away from so that our security cameras could function, both in the back and on the playground side of the building. We do have a huge project coming up soon. Won't be this summer, but it'll be next summer, and it'll be replacement of the entire HVAC system at Round. The only reason we're not doing it this summer is because of the change in the student calendar, and we don't believe that we can get it all done before August the 1st when the teachers report. You can see some things that we've done at Weems. And finally, we start with the departments. We go to the transportation department where we replaced our school buses with 5 school buses. We added the GPS system that gives us greater ability to monitor our buses, and it also gives our parents ability to be able to monitor buses at all times and where their children are or where their bus is and when it will arrive. We've replaced all our SRO vehicles and added an additional one. We have purchased another trailer for our bus drivers and added another training room there, and that's in the process of being refurbished as we speak. As far as food service is concerned, we have some equipment throughout the division that has been replaced. One of the cool things that's getting ready to come soon is an electronic menu system. No longer will you, well, I guess you could print it out if you wanted to, but we won't be handing out printed out copies of the menus now. You'll be able to go online, look at your child's menu for the month. But one of the great things about this system is that it will also be able, if your child is allergic to anything, for whatever it is, you just type it in or you click a button and it will strike off the menu the things that you shouldn't be, you're not allowed to have. And when you come through the line, it's individualized. So the person who is checking you out when you go through the line, well, if they see it on your plate, they will take it off of your plate so you won't be sick or you won't, if you're allergic to that, whatever's there. All of these projects that we've done, none of these we haven't talked anything about the projects that have been done through the energy performance contract or any improvements made by the technology department. The energy performance contract is in its final stages, and the results of that and the upgrades that have been made and the progress we've made toward energy conservation will be made, I think it'll be the last meeting in March. And Mr. Barrett, the IT director, will give another report in May concerning all the technology improvements. And the final slide is, I want to say thank you to our staff. I'm truly blessed and humbled to have the staff that I have that work with me do a tremendous amount of job. Every one of those projects that you saw and more have to have somebody who's overseeing them, who's watching them, who's monitoring, who's making sure that they're done on time and within the amount of money that's authorized. Also, I would like to thank the school board for your commitment and support to funding the CIP. Earlier tonight, you heard Mr. Demiria talk about, the improvements that been made at the gym at Osborne and the lighting and things like that. I can remember when I first got here, I noticed that the person who was singing the national anthem was standing way over in the corner. And I asked the principal at the time, I said, why is the person over there? Well, that's as long as the cord will go. That's as far as she could get out was at where the cord was, right? And then when the sound system was so bad that when they announced the athletes' names, I couldn't understand who the person's name was. I went to other school divisions and other basketball events, and they had music going on. That place was rocking on the inside, right? I mean, with lights flashing and everything. And we made it our mission that that's what we wanted for our students. And so also I want to share with that when I first got here, I think it was Mr. Albrecht, Mr. Bushnell, Mr. Demiria were on the Finance Committee at that time, and they made a commitment to us that we needed to establish a capital improvement plan that was properly funded and that we thought out exactly what we needed for 5 years. And we talk at length about the CIP, especially during the budget season. Without that commitment from the school board, without that, that money could easily be taken away and be spent somewhere else on other true instructional needs. But we have made a commitment, and the board has made a commitment to hold that money to improve our facilities. And you have seen great improvement over the last few years, and we've got a lot more coming down the pike. And finally, I want to thank the citizens of Manassas. Of course, none of this would be possible without them and their funding and through the payment of their taxes and their efforts and the volunteers that come to our school division. You heard Mr. Gabalski tonight start talking about the Saturday Learning Seminar. A lot of the Saturday Learning Seminar that was done was originally started through volunteers from Manassas City. It was not initially a school board initiative. It was done through volunteers who wanted to help the school division, who brought in the breakfast, and they helped gather that together in cooperation with the school. And over the years, the school board has realized how wonderful it was and has helped support that. So, you know, our citizens of Manassas, our businesses, and our community help us in so many ways. So we're very blessed here. I'm very thankful for all the people that I've mentioned tonight, and our staff, our school board, and our citizens, and I want to thank you for your efforts.
Questions or comments, Mr. Demiria?
There was a lot of things on there that were in-house.
That's right.
I want everybody to know that we don't have 100 maintenance guys running around doing this. We have a dozen folk. How many?
I think we have 8.
8. Doing that whole list, getting that all done. And not only are our teachers spectacular and our administrators, so are our maintenance crew. It's incredible what these folks do inside, in-house. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any comments?
I just want to add to what Mr. Demiria said. I was at Mets when they were refurbishing the auditorium, and the custodians from every school were there putting down the carpeting and cleaning the seats. It was just an amazing group of individuals working together to get things done.
Well, the custodians at Mets have really been through it this year with replacing the hallway flooring in the auditorium and the painting and the lighting and everything that's been done there. And so one of the things that we did to help them out was that we brought all the custodians from the other schools. We asked volunteers from other schools to come and help them so that we would be ready on the first day of school. And we had more volunteers than we could accommodate. We actually had to send some of them back to their main school, so it was wonderful. Thank you.
Mr. Albert.
I just want to, thank staff, and if anybody actually is out there watching, it's not that we're trying to have Taj Mahal facilities. We have, golly, Andy, how many million square feet that we are trying to maintain, and if you don't take care of it, it gets worse and worse. We just went through a horrendous windstorm this weekend. I am sure many people in Manassas had siding ripped off their house, roofs messed up. You could choose not to fix that. We can kind of figure out what's going to happen. We've made the concerted effort to invest in our schools where we have tiles that are breaking to make sure that we're replacing them so they aren't a trip hazard or that doesn't come into something else. And, when someone new comes in the community, they drive by the schools. When they see nice, well-maintained buildings, that's why I was glad to see Mets now getting an electronic sign. We're coming into the 20th century. That'll make them reinforce the fact that we do have good schools and we take a lot of pride in ourselves.
Thank you. And I'll just conclude by saying thank you for your oversight, and thanks to our custodians for the work they do, and especially when we have snowstorms and ice storms and folks have to get to school and sidewalks need to be cleared. They do a wonderful job, and people will complain for sure if it's not done, but if it is done, a lot of times folks take it for granted, so thank them for their work, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, next on the agenda, I believe, is the stop arm camera system. Mr. Hawkins?
So I want to give you an update. We've been through the stop arm camera. A couple of years ago, the school board took a very direct leadership role in operating to authorize the stop arm and camera system. We started working with our partners at the city, with the treasurer's office, with the police department, with the county judges, and we brought it to fruition. We don't spend any money on this program. There's no cost to the school division, and all the work is done by our partners at the city, from the police department, the treasurer, and the judges, like I said. So from January until December of this year, we still have a problem with almost over 1,100 citations that have been issued. On average, all of our buses are passed 6 times a day. Seems like a lot, right? It's hard for me to believe that our buses are passed on average 6 times a day. Average citations per bus is over 18 and a half. So how does that stack up? What's the progress from year to year? As bad as we think, well, I think 1,165 citations being issued in a calendar year, it's almost 32% better than what it was in 2017. You can see that we've made significant progress. We still have significant way to go to be able to get down. You have to remember that every one of these interactions where the buses stop with the lights flashing and children are loading and unloading from the bus, every time a car passes a school bus with those lights flashing, it puts our students at danger, significant danger. So we've made a lot of progress. We still have a long way to go, and as we begin our 3rd year in the stop arm camera process. So you can see some of our most troubled locations, but we've had significant decreases in all but one. We do have one area that's gone up significantly, but overall we're about 42% better off than where we started out. Over 400 citations less written in these 4 areas during this period of time. So the school board has had a public relations campaign. We put up signs throughout the community asking the citizenry to stop school buses, and we're continuing on that effort. And again, I want to thank the police department and the treasurer's office and the judges who do all the work for this program. And we have a good vendor that has always done everything that they told us that they were going to do. And all of the equipment and the way that this program is run is at no cost to the school division. Are there any questions, concerns, comments?
Comments, questions? Mr. O'Hanlon.
I do have one. Can you go back to slide 4 for a second? And this is the Postal Service coming out. What is the differentiation between the 9,000 block of Centerville Road and the 9,000 block of Virginia 28?
So I knew somebody was going. I'm glad you asked, because the 9,000 block of Centerville Road, I looked them up on Google today. You know, it's across from McDonald's, right on Centerville Road. It's right in that area. It's where I guess where the children are let off at the trailer park. The 9,000 block of Virginia 28 is near the Old Town Sports Pub in that area. So, you know, Centerville Road has probably got at least 5 names from the school board office all the way down, from Centerville Road to Center Street to Noakesville Road to Church Street to VA 28. I mean, it has never seen one road that had as many names going through one in 10 miles that it does. So the 9,500 block of Center Street is near the Social Security office and out there. So those are the 3 different areas that all on the same stretch of the road.
Any questions, comments? Well, thank you. Thank you for the follow-up. We appreciate it, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Next item on the agenda, action agenda, student achievement. Mr. Lyon.
Chairman Williams, Dr. Newman, members of the board. This evening I'm here to ask for a revision to our current 2018-2019 calendar. I ask that you waive the second reading and take action on the revision tonight. The election office from the city of Manassas has informed me that they do need to have a primary election on June 11th, same as last year. And so seeing that, I'm recommending we do the same thing as we did last year and change June 11th to a teacher work day. I saw the calendar up, that went away, but the good news is next year we will not have to have this issue to deal with because our school calendar starts earlier and ends earlier next year.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the School Board of the City of Manassas approve the proposed revision to the 2018-2019 school calendar.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Demarius, second by Mrs. Seberg, that the School Board of the City of Manassas approve the proposed revision to the 2018-2019 school calendar. Any discussion? Mr. Albrecht.
Just a question, because we're not even into March yet, and we've already had a lot of days of school we've missed, and now we're taking one more academic day away. How much risk are we putting on ourselves?
In regards to the
comply with
requirement?
the state requirement for
Yeah.
days in school.
So we build our calendar based on 180 days, which is a state requirement.
We got the extra minutes, I know that.
Yeah.
but-
So the extra minutes, which is our insurance policy when we have to close for weather or emergency issues, which is what we consider this due to safety concerns of our students and the public coming into the building. So looking at all the days we've had, I believe we've had 7 days so far. Right now, we have around 5 days of bank time still to meet the requirement. Now, the 7, I believe, includes that June 11th.
Thank you.
Questions, comments? Okay. Well, again, motion by Mr. Demarius, second by Mrs. Seberg, that the School Board of the City of Manassas approve the proposed revision to the 2018-2019 school calendar. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it 7-0, and the calendar is revised. Thank you, Mr. Lyon. We will be heading into closed session, if I can get a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move the School Board of the City of Manassas enter closed session pursuant to exemption from open meetings as Section 2.23711, Part A, Paragraph 1 of the Code of Virginia, 1950, as amended for the following purpose: discussion of the superintendent's mid-year evaluation.
Second.
And, wait, and it's the second part, too.
Is there another part? Oh, and discussion of legal matters. It wasn't on my part.
Thank you, Mr. Albrecht. Motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Mrs. Kiefer, that the School Board of the City of Manassas enter a closed session pursuant to exemptions from open meetings allowed by Section 2.2-3711, Part A, Paragraph 1 of the Code of Virginia 1950 is amended for the following purposes: discussion of superintendent's mid-year evaluation and discussion of legal matters. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it 7-0. We will be entering closed session.